Have you ever felt like life took a sharp, unexpected turn? Like you were on top of the world one moment, and in the darkest pit the next? Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful stories ever told. A story of dreams, betrayal, and incredible redemption. This is the story of Joseph and his coat of many colors. Our story begins in the land of Canaan, with a man named Jacob and his 12 sons. Of all his children, Jacob held a special place in his heart for his second youngest, Joseph. Joseph was the son of his old age, born to him by his beloved wife, Rachel. To express this deep affection, Jacob gave Joseph a stunning gift, a beautiful, ornate coat, woven with every color of the rainbow. It was more than just a garment. It was a symbol of his father's favor. Joseph wore it with pride, a constant, vibrant reminder of his father's love. But this beautiful gift cast a dark shadow. Seeing Joseph in that coat, his older brothers were consumed by jealousy. Why him? Why was he the special one? Their envy grew day by day, planting bitter seeds in their hearts. Soon, Joseph began to have vivid dreams that seemed to hold a glimpse of the future. In one, he saw himself and his brothers binding sheaves of grain in a field. Suddenly, his sheaf stood upright, and his brothers' sheaves gathered around and bowed down to it. In another dream, he saw the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowing down to him. Full of youthful excitement, Joseph shared these dreams with his family. He didn't understand the fire he was stoking. To his brothers, this was the ultimate arrogance. First the coat, and now dreams of them bowing to him. Their simmering jealousy boiled over into pure hatred. They began to whisper and plot, their anger twisting into a dark desire to be rid of their dreamer brother. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers, who were tending the flocks far from home. As they saw him approaching from a distance, cloaked in his vibrant coat, they saw their chance. "Here comes the dreamer," they sneered. Their malicious plan took shape quickly. They ambushed him, ripped the beautiful coat from his back, and threw him into a dry, empty well, ignoring his terrified pleas for mercy. Just then, a caravan of merchants on their way to Egypt appeared. A cruel idea sparked in their minds. Instead of leaving him to die, they could profit from their betrayal. They pulled Joseph from the pit and sold him as a slave for 20 pieces of silver. To cover their tracks, they dipped his precious coat in animal blood and took it back to their father, Jacob, who was left to believe his favorite son had been torn apart by a wild beast. Arriving in Egypt, a stranger in a strange land, Joseph's life was turned upside down. He was sold to Potiphar, the captain of Pharaoh's guard. But even in servitude, Joseph's character shone brightly. He worked diligently and with integrity, and God was with him, causing everything he did to prosper. Potiphar saw this and trusted Joseph completely, putting him in charge of his entire household. However, his journey was far from over. When he was falsely accused of a terrible crime by Potiphar's wife, he was thrown into prison. Yet, even in the darkness of the dungeon, Joseph's faith did not waver. He continued to serve faithfully, and soon the jailer put him in charge of all the other prisoners. It was there his God-given gift for interpreting dreams became known, a gift that would ultimately change his destiny and the fate of a nation. Years passed. One night, Pharaoh, the mighty ruler of Egypt, was troubled by 2 disturbing dreams. He dreamed of 7 fat, healthy cows being devoured by 7 lean, sickly ones, and then of 7 plump heads of grain being swallowed by 7 thin, lighted heads. None of his wise men or magicians could decipher their meaning. Then, the Pharaoh's cupbearer, who had been in prison with Joseph, remembered the young Hebrew who had accurately interpreted his own dream. Joseph was immediately summoned from the dungeon. Standing before the most powerful man in the world, Joseph didn't take credit. He said, "I cannot do it, but God will give Pharaoh the answer." He explained that the dreams were a warning from God. Egypt would experience 7 years of incredible abundance, followed by 7 years of devastating famine. He advised Pharaoh to appoint a wise man to collect and store grain during the good years to prepare for the bad. Pharaoh was astounded by Joseph's wisdom and insight. "Can we find anyone like this man?" he declared. "One in whom is the Spirit of God." In a single day, Joseph went from a prisoner to the second most powerful man in Egypt. Pharaoh placed his own signet ring on Joseph's finger, dressed him in robes of fine linen, and put him in charge of the entire land. For the next 7 years, Joseph masterfully organized the storage of massive amounts of grain, preparing Egypt for the coming crisis. Just as Joseph had foretold, the 7 years of abundance ended, and a severe famine spread across the whole region, including the land of Canaan, where his family lived. Hearing there was grain in Egypt, Jacob sent 10 of his sons to buy food. When they arrived, they were brought before the powerful Egyptian governor. They had to petition for help. They bowed low before him, their faces to the ground. They had no idea they were kneeling before the very brother they had sold into slavery decades earlier. But Joseph recognized them instantly. Seeing his brothers, humbled and desperate, his dreams from so long ago came rushing back. Overcome with emotion, he turned away to hide his tears, his heart a whirlwind of shock, pain, and a love he thought was long buried. After testing his brothers to see if their hearts had changed, Joseph could no longer contain himself. He sent everyone out of the room, and in a flood of tears, he revealed his identity. "I am Joseph," he cried. "Is my father still alive?" His brothers were frozen in terror, speechless with guilt and fear. They expected vengeance, the wrath of the powerful man they had so cruelly wronged. But instead, Joseph pulled them close. With a heart full of grace, he spoke words that would echo through history. "Do not be distressed, and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." He embraced them, one by one, and their weeping turned from fear to relief and joy. Joseph's story is a timeless reminder that our lives are part of a much bigger picture. It shows us that even when we face the deepest betrayal and the most painful trials, faith, integrity, and the power of forgiveness can turn what was meant for evil into something beautiful and redemptive. God can use our darkest moments to bring about His greatest plans. Thank you so much for watching with us today. If this story touched your heart, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content.